A man who whacks nostalgic, meaning he beats off to 80s porn. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. The show's big on Monday. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. We love that about you. Kat Timpf is in studio. New book out soon. That'll be September 10th, but you should pre-order it now, so it'll show up the day it comes out, as I recall. I used to like you until ... We'll talk about that. Tilt your mic down a little bit, Kat. I think that'll be good, and slide it toward you a little bit. That'll be good.
There we go.
There we go. Good to see you, my dear.
Great to see you, too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, congratulations on the baby and the success and
I know,
everything else.
I got a lot going on right now, but it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Gutfeld turned into a juggernaut, and it just sort of took along many of the faces and names in its atmospheres. It sort of pulled along. You got sucked up in the jet stream, and now you're touring and selling out events and auditoriums and arenas, and probably something you weren't anticipating several years ago.
Certainly not. I used to live out in LA, and I worked at Boston Market, and I was like a waitress, and I did a lot of open mics and stuff, and I would watch Red Eye. Gutfeld, hosted Red Eye years ago, and I wanted to be on the show. So it's actually truly remarkable how things have kind of turned out.
And I think you and I share a lot of the same reasonable thoughts, in that we're basically libertarians.
Yeah.
I'm basically an atheist who's kind of live and let live. I've never thought of myself as uptight. But you get painted into this sort of conservative MAGA, something ultra right-wing, whatever thing, which I always find amusing for like someone who's an atheist who doesn't own a gun or a Bible. It's just weird.
Yes. And
weird to have that hung over you.
And that's kind of what this book is about, right? Because I kind of get it from both sides, right? Because I am not a religious person, because I am on social issues extremely live and let live, etc. Sometimes some of the viewers at Fox, not all of them, obviously, they're the ones coming out to my shows and all that, but some of them will be like, you're this, you're disgusting. And it's like, okay. But then people on the left will hear I work at Fox, and they don't even want to talk to me at all. They're like, oh, she works at Fox News. That's all that I need to know about her. And they don't know anything about me at all. And I think that we've gotten to this point where now we're letting a single difference in one viewpoint, or even a perceived viewpoint or an association, be enough to write off another person entirely.
Also, I've explained this more than once on this program, but people really need to understand this, like as it pertains to Bobby Kennedy Jr. and his whole family disavowed them.
Yeah.
Well, listen, elitist a-holes known as the Kennedys, you understand he disagrees with you as well.
Yeah,
He didn't disown you. Like when people go,
right,
I'm going to disown you because you think this way. It's like, right, I think the same way about you. I think you're totally misguided, and I think you're dangerous, and I think you're hurting this country, but I don't disavow our relationship. So what a crazy narcissistic elitism. And furthermore, Kennedy shows up on Fox because CNN won't have him. And they do this thing all the time where it's like, you go on Fox and you hang out with your Fox buddies. I'll go on CNN. Mark Garagos is not allowed on CNN anymore because he thinks a little differently. Dr. Drew's not allowed on CNN. I'm not allowed on CNN. Robert Kennedy Jr. is not allowed on CNN. It's not that they're going to Fox because they prefer Fox. They need an outlet for whatever it is they're talking about, a book or an idea, and CNN and MSNBC and ABC won't have them.
Yeah, Fox is not an idea. It's a platform to share your ideas. I don't understand people who get all angry about it. But also going back to the Kennedys, what I write about in my book a lot, which is, it's really pathetic when you break down what it is, which is how people kind of simp for the politicians and they simp for these candidates. Politics makes people fight with people they actually know in their lives on behalf of people who don't even know they exist, let alone care about them. So it really is pathetic. When I see people sometimes, I'll have like the thirsty old men in my Instagram comments, no hate, thank you for the support. But someone will comment and be like, hope she sees this, bro. That's where my head goes when I see the way some people talk about, the politicians that they support. It's like, he's not going to see this. She's not going to see this. And now you've just lost a friend who, actually cares about you and loves you.
Yeah, my thing is this guy likes the Rams and that guy likes the Giants. So he wishes you were a Rams. I wish you were a Rams fan, and you wish I was a Giants fan. But you're not talking to me because I'm a Rams fan. Mm-hmm. I don't have that with you. I understand you like the Giants. Now, what you've successfully done is convinced yourself that the Rams are evil.
Yes.
And so I don't think the Giants are evil. I think they're stupid and misguided and could possibly cause things that were evil. But I don't think they're evil. No one ever said they were evil, but they say the Rams are evil, and I like the Rams, so thus, that's why they don't need to talk to me.
A sports metaphor even I can follow.
Yeah, thank you.
And we know it's just the Eagles that are evil.
That's right.
Well, because if the other side...
And Patriots fans.
If the other side's evil, and this is why people, I think one main reason why people get so wrapped up into this is because if the other side's evil, then you're automatically good just by not being on that side.
That's true.
And so people convince themselves just by being on the right side, therefore I am better than the people on the evil, bad side. But when you break it down, you're not actually doing anything to solve any problems.
I agree. And what I always talk to Dr. Drew about.
Love Dr. Drew.
I know you have a crush on him.
No, I know so the funny thing is I actually was a big fan of Dr. Drew and you like I listened to Loveline, I listened to every episode, and now like my husband and I vacation with Dr. Drew and his wife.
Oh, look at you.
It's very interesting how my life has turned out. It's very interesting.
I saw Dr. Drew last night at the Ice House in Pasadena.
Yeah.
But is Dr. Drew and I sort of talk about this all the time, which is just big picture of what we're looking for on the evil side, which I reside on. Mm-hmm. I just want less government.
Same.
I just want smaller government. That's all I want. That's all I want. And I know you keep like attacking me, like you want this and you want that. It's like I want a smaller government that's less involved with my life. And so on that point, I don't like to name drop, but Saturday night I went out to dinner with Alan Hamill. Alan Hamill's the Canadian talk show host who married Suzanne Summers, and it was her partner for like 60 years. Mm-hmm. So basically, she's writing the books and doing the Broadway reviews in Vegas and everything else. And he's just there designing the Thigh Master and arguing with Japanese guys about how to market it and stuff like that. So he's sort of it's weird. When a man does it with a woman, we sort of frown on it as a society. But when a woman does it with a man's career, it's like inspirational. Yeah. She's the real brains behind this, whatever. But it's a picture of me and Steve Garvey and Suzanne Summers shortly before she died recently. So he just kind of guided her and did the deals and made the deals and did all the smart stuff. And then they made tons of money.
Yeah.
But I met him in Malibu, and they love Malibu, and they had a home in Malibu. And they lived in Malibu for many years, and they frequently would come back. They're in Palm Springs now, but they would come back to Malibu every couple of months and stay at the Malibu Inn or whatever. And when they were in town, they would say, "Oh, we're in town. Would you like to get dinner?" And that's how it turned out. So I picked him up. And we're driving to the restaurant. And I said, "Now, I know you lived in Malibu all those years." And he said, "Suzanne and I had this 1,900-foot house, a modest-sized house for a big star, right on the beach, 200-foot beachfront, kind of double lot. So we loved it.
Yeah.
It was our place." And I think people that get the beach house vibe, I don't get the 7,800 square foot beach house. I don't get the 13,000 foot beach house. The beach cottage is like so beautiful. You don't need to go over 2,000 feet with the beach house.
Yeah, I also don't get like the beach in general as much. Like it's fun for 20 minutes. Like
well, Alan and Suzanne Summers would beg to differ. But
I'm sure. It's big.
I'm digressing. I'm digressing. Let's not argue the merits of the beach.
No, it's big.
For them, it's vast.
Yes.
Which is bigger than big.
It's a big thing, the beach.
The big exhibit. They loved it. And for years and years and decades, they loved this 1,900-foot cottage they had right on the ocean. And then the fire came.
Yeah.
And the fire jumped PCH, which it never does. It usually stays on the hillside. But this time it jumped over and it got their house and it burned it down. And he said, we love that house. We love that space. And I said, well, you know, you love Malibu so much, Alan. And Suzanne Summers loved Malibu. I mean, Summers. That's her last name.
There you go.
You loved it so much, and then you end up moving to Palm Desert. Why? And he said, for 8 years, I argued with the city and the Coastal Commission and the planning department, and basically some 23-year-old chick who didn't live in Malibu and didn't like people who lived in Malibu just basically kept piling on regulations. And at some point, she said, you guys need 4 garage parking or something. And he said, we only have 2 cars.
Yeah.
And is there an appeals process? And the 23-year-old chick said, there is, and it's me, and it might take a year. And so Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers, who have paid way more in taxes than the 23-year-old chick, who's, by the way, pissed off at her stepdad, who's looking at him like some rich old white guy, basically told him to go pound sand, pardon the pun. And he just went, I don't have, you know, at the time, he's 73 years old. Like, how many more years do I want to dedicate into building on my land after my house was destroyed by fire?
In a horrific
I'm not going to argue with this 23-year-old bitch for the rest of time in memoriam. So he went, fuck it. We're selling the land. We're going to Palm Desert. All I'm saying is I want less of her. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree so much. It's really that simple for me too. I want less government, but people will the way people will spin that is remarkable. Like, it'll be like, you want less government, so you don't care if people's kids die, or you don't care if people starve. It's like, when did I say that? Because not caring about, so not thinking the government is the best way to solve a problem doesn't mean you don't care about the problem. Because I pay also, I mean, I'm not that level of wealthy. I mean, I don't own property at all, let alone beachfront property. But the amount of money that I pay of my money in taxes, it's disgusting and it sickens me. And where does it go? Like, another country's war is what they spend it. I mean, where does all this money go?
Well, as I was thinking about it when I was driving in the other day, yelling at Drew on the phone, because that's what we do. We yell at each other. I thought it's also a weird thing, A, to want more government.
Yes.
B, to have some sort of magical belief that once the government gets involved, that's who handles shit. Like, all those payments that went out to COVID for people who are incarcerated. You know what I mean? Like, California wasted $28 billion giving money to prisoners. Like, so, or feeding your kid, or building the monorail from Merced to Modesto or something. Like, first off, I'm not signed off on this notion of the government. Like, they go, you want to get rid of the Board of Education? It's like, yes, I do.
Nobody, there was no school for
nobody can read. Oh, yes. What are you comparing it to?
People will say, you want to get rid of the Board of Education, therefore you don't want kids to be educated.
Right.
It's like, no, where did you take that jump? Because you were the ones that decided that kids shouldn't be in school, and now kids, shockingly enough, don't do as well when they're not learning things in school. So it's because you do care about the kids that you have this opinion.
Right. So just the conceit that why would you want anyone to handle anything but the government, I'm like, I've not signed off on that because I think they're generally a lot of lethargy, a lot of fat. Yes. And look, I've said it once, I've said it many times. In a vacuum of competition, we get a weak ass product. And could you imagine government taco? It's just there's no more tacos. There's only the government issued taco. Just imagine what that taco would taste like,
and then how long it would take you to get it,
and how expensive it would be, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you don't like that idea, then good, you're with me on my government idea. But also, I was thinking, in terms of paying taxes, like, people don't realize that taking money from you is about the most intrusive thing an entity can do to that, whether it's your government or it was your neighbor.
Right.
Like, it's just like, I'm going to need more of your money that you have worked for, and I'm going to need unrealized capital gains, or like whatever it is. And I said, look, everyone understands when they see that mafia movie from the 50s where the guy goes down to Brooklyn and the guy with the thin tie goes into the dry cleaners and go, it'd be a real shame if something happened to your business. And then that guy pays him a vig, which is less than what the government gets for doing nothing. Well, if you hate that idea, you should also not like the idea of the government charging more and more.
Right, because if you don't pay your taxes, people with guns can take you away.
Well, the thing that's interesting about paying taxes or not paying taxes is there is no debtor's prison in this modern era. It's been gone for several hundred years. And as I've learned, if you're a landlord, as I was, emphasis on lord,
it'd be hilarious. I'm just imagining you as my landlord, but go on.
When I showed up, I would put a robe on and hold a staff.
I'm
and show up as the lord of the land.
I'm sure.
I didn't do landlord. I did lord of the land. No, I had a warehouse in Burbank. And I rented it out to some guy for 6 months, and he never paid rent. And he owed me $50,000. And the answer to everyone I talked to about this guy owing me $50,000 was, there's nothing you can do. You can chase him. I like when they go, you can chase him. I can chase him? Is there some legal system in place where someone owes someone $50,000? And by the way, I would say to everyone, if he stole $50,000 from a bank, or he stole it from me, it's just $50,000. We don't have things in place. So everyone told me, look, government's doing nothing. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. All right. But if I owe the government money, they can incarcerate me.
Yes.
So how come there's only one group of people who can be incarcerated? Those are people who owe the government money. Owe your credit card money, owe me money from the warehouse. No incarceration there except for the government.
Yeah. And again, I truly don't understand it. I mean, people, I get, and you think about it too, the amount, whatever percentage of your income you pay in taxes, that's the percentage of the year that you're working for free. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it like that, I don't know how you don't get mad. I mean, it's not that I don't want to help people. If I could give X amount of money and solve, hunger, I would. I don't know how you could. I would. I just don't know how you can possibly think the money's going with the needs of the people in the mind at this point.
Listen, I'm with you that, you pay money, you have police, and you have roads, and you have infrastructure, and you have a military, and I get that. I also get the part where for every dollar I spend, $9 will go down the drain and be wasted. And I get the part where we've figured out we spent $24 billion on homelessness in California in the last 2 years, and we have zero.
Much better.
We have more homeless. All right, I get it. Where it's just they waste every fucking penny on everything. I get it. I just don't get the part in the side of the people that are cheering them on who want us to pay more. That's the part that's confusing, but it's the same group that wants bigger government. I'm like, why do you want more involvement with your life with these people?
I have no understanding for it, and I don't understand the moral high ground for having a different idea about how problems get solved. But that's another thing that I talk about in my book a lot. It's that it's not just people think, oh, you don't think just because you don't think the government can solve it doesn't mean that you don't care about this, you don't care about that, you want that. It's very easy. I did some research. I found that moral outrage is more often rooted in self-interest than altruism, which makes the most sense in the world, right? People feel better when they direct that outrage also at another person. They feel like they feel better about a problem, and the less they feel like they can do about the problem, the more they are motivated to do that. And think about COVID, right? This was never more true than during COVID, where you could be one of the good people by very virtue of doing nothing. By sitting at home on your ass. But if somebody wants to open their business to feed their family, that person is a murderer. Not just, they're going to kill your grandma, and they don't, that's a bad person. But you're a good person just by virtue of sitting at home and doing nothing.
Yeah. What COVID did is it exposed everybody's weaknesses in character and reverted a lot of people back to 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
And so we have a thing built into us as human beings that are, not flattering in nature.
Of course.
And so just a basic thing is you as a human being when your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you and you're devastated, and then you hear 6 months later that she has a new boyfriend or he has a new girlfriend, right? And then so someone goes, well, this new guy your ex is dating is like a super successful guy who runs his own auction house in Beverly Hills. And then they show you a picture of the guy and you go, he's got a little bald spot there, doesn't he? Right? And that's just you being weak and pathetic. And that's just sort of humans at their worst. Like, you should hope that she's with a good guy and that she has a good life, and you should have enough dignity and security for that. But you like the fact that he's got a little gut.
Oh, women
on him,
will
right?
look and look and look until they find the bad thing.
Yes,
If the bad thing isn't obvious,
he doesn't bleach his asshole.
If the bad thing's not obvious, you will look and look into this new girl's life and find it.
What I'm saying is, it's a kind of, and it's like when you find money on the ground and you kind of look around and you kind of go, I guess I should ask some people if this is money they drop. But on the other hand, it's in my hand. There's just a kind of a default human setting that's a little bit weak. And it's basically the pumpkin sitting on the porch at Halloween, the plastic pumpkin, and it's filled with candy, and the note that says, please take one. And you walk up and there's nobody around and there's a whole thing full of Reese's Pieces down there, and you're like, I'm taking more.
Yeah.
Because it's me. And all COVID did was expose that in everyone. It turned adults into low character, weak people that were like tattling on other people and doing virtue signaling on stuff that had nothing to do with you. Like, it really just reverted everyone back to some 9-year-old version of themselves.
And what I never was able to understand is how people who worked in my industry were able to get on TV and judge other people for wanting to open their businesses. Because I would sit there and I'd say, well, listen, I'm talking to everyone from work right now. I'm at work right now. Other people can't go to, so to sit there while you're from your perch of employment telling other people that they're bad because they want to continue to make money. I don't understand that level of, is it narcissism? Is it a lack of self-awareness? I'm not sure what it is.
Well, I think narcissism comes with a lack of self-awareness because you just start saying stuff out loud and people, I mean, it's like, I saw the ladies from The View tear apart a female salon owner like out of Texas because she reopened her business. And I'm like, ladies, this is a lady who's running her own business and you're supposed to be cheering her on. But you're attacking her from work.
You're making so much more money than this woman, could ever hope. And again, I always say, like, I work really hard, and I do. I'm very hardworking. I work every single day. But work for me is what I'm talking, I'm writing, I'm getting my makeup done. It's not so bad. I'm very, very lucky to be in that position.
Oh, you guys got a good, especially over at Gutfeld.
It's great. And the other thing too is, going back to what we were talking about earlier, when I do these live shows, and they're awesome, and I have so much fun doing my live shows, and I'll go to these theaters and I'll be being treated differently away by the staff before and after they see my show. They'll come in, they're nice, they're kind, but the same thing when they see during my show every time, they're like, she works at Fox News? Because they have this idea of what Fox News is, and I think they'd be shocked to know that a show like Gutfeld can be on there, where we can have the guests, on there that are different or share different opinions. I have many different opinions than Greg does, and I'm on the show every single day. People have this idea built up in their head of what that is, and my experience of someone who's worked there almost 10 years couldn't be more different. More different.
Agreed.
And as you've been on it, same thing. Have you ever felt like, oh, better not say this on this? Like, no.
No, one of the things I think it's projection, and now I'm starting to think everything's projection, is what I'm thinking. Because the thing with Fox is they go, you have to follow the party line. You have to follow the script and the talking notes,
I have no
which
script.
becomes comical when you do stuff there because whether it's going on Gutfeld or it's going on Hannity or it's going on Jesse Waters or it's doing whatever at Fox, I have never had a discussion about what to say.
No.
The discussion is, here's the subjects we may want to talk about, which sometimes you get to and sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you don't,
in no particular order. The way I figure out what they don't get into is the most time that I dedicate to a subject. That's
Usually,
the one.
yeah.
That's the one that gets
None of it's usable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is no talking points.
No.
There's a general, I would say, understanding that you're kind of think in a logical way, and whereas pragmatic people will sort of arrive in the same place without a pre-discussion about it. Like Dr. Drew and I are very different, but we end up in a lot of the same places because we just have sort of a pragmatic thinking. But there is none of that versus ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, where every single person on CNN knew exactly what that stuff was, and they knew it was horse paste. And that feels to me like much more of a charted course than Fox. There is no predetermined discussion on it, but I think it's a lot of projection.
I think it really is, and it's really obvious when it's people who would make a judgment about me or get mad at me before they know a single thing I've ever said on the air. You don't know a single thing about me, but it's that association is enough for some people, and they have no idea what they're talking about. I have never been told I can't say something. I've never been suggested that I say. I mean, ever even once.
It's not, and also it's a very relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, people. I mean, you don't have that much to compare it to, probably. But normally, everyone needs to be there 3 hours early. We need to have a writers' meeting. We need to have a round table. Everyone's got to figure out this and load up the teleprompter with that. This is people wandering in 10 minutes before the show starts.
Sometimes.
Not sure what we're talking about yet. I mean, it's casual. Look, the allure of the show is that it's casual that way. But I can tell you that I've done everything, and that is the most casual and least here's your talking points position I've ever been in.
Because I think that talking points eventually, too, just get boring from either side. Nobody wants to be like, okay, well, this side thinks this side thinks that, and people just scream that at each other. I hate election years for that reason. I mean, it's always a problem, but it gets worse in the election. It's like, if you're not voting for then therefore you're all this stuff, and you're gonna ruin the whole country, and it's just like, dude, there's so much stuff going on in at people's lives. Not that politics don't affect it, but that we shouldn't let that affect it more than it has to.
I had this thought. I was listening to Obama make a speech at the DNC, and I think we have a clip of that. And the reason so I know we're in the word salad era of life, and people are just sort of talking in a circle, and Obama is the most skilled at it in that it's like magic.
It is.
It's not real. No one's a warlock. No one's a sorceress. It's not real, but he's the best sleight of hand at it. He can make his word salad talk seem real. Oprah is great.
Mm-hmm, she's also
at that. Michelle Obama is great at it. It's like it's a real skill. And
Can I add? And again, I'm sort of lean libertarian as well, but like Trump's pretty good at it.
Well, he's funny.
Well, Trump.
I mean, he'll talk for 2 hours, and you're like, what did he really say? And
I disagree.
And
I don't. He does a lot of side talk, but he doesn't do the full circle salad. He what he does is he goes a lot of people coming over the border, and then he exaggerates. He goes 20 million people, all out of prison, all out of mental institutes, a lot of bad guys, bad guys. And so he He takes a 1 hour speech. It could be condensed to 22 minutes.
Yeah.
But
and fills it with things that are factually inaccurate.
Yeah.
But he's still talking about corporate taxes and the border. He's not talking about vibes.
Whenever I have to weigh in on a Trump speech, I'm always like, if he could have just focused on this thing, on this part of it, that was really good. But he can't. That's just who he is. He's going to go. He's going to take, usually inviting, he's going to go off on this tangent and,
Yeah, I'm not. My only defense of Trump is at some point he gets to policy. He's actually talking about corporate taxes or something like that. He gets to tariffs or China or something, which I don't mind, like some parsley by the side of the speech plate, little garnish on there, a joke, an ism. I don't mind, my grandpappy used to tell me, but I want to get back to NATO and why we're paying too big a percentage of NATO's bills. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And I've realized that just doesn't feel good to half the country, at least.
Me included.
But my argument, I'll show you the Obama DNC speech, and then I'll tell you my theory I had this morning that which just sort of transcends word salad talk.
We live in a time of such confusion and rancor, with a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last. Money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel so alone. We don't trust each other as much because we don't take the time to know each other. And in that space between us, politicians and algorithms teach us to caricature each other and troll each other and fear each other. But here's the good news, Chicago. All across America, in big cities and small towns, away from all the noise, the ties that bind us together are still there.
All right, so I have no fucking idea what he's talking about. I would like to have money. Like to keep it for a long time. I'll even kick a few shekels to my kids if if the son doesn't go gay.
But also, doesn't he love all those things? Like, he's chasing the approval of strangers. Buddy, that's what politics is.
Yeah, he's on his fourth mansion.
Yeah, and
he's
also,
okay.
We saw your birthday party. You clearly care about fame. You know what I mean?
Nobody hangs with Jay-Z more than you. When you're shooting hoops with Jay-Z, you enjoy it. Okay, so yes, all of those things you like. Fine. B, have no idea what it has to do with policy.
No.
C, not even sure what the point is. We're building walls around ourselves. Fame and money is fleeting. Life is fleeting. Really, everything's fleeting, but nice to be rich while you're here. And then later on, maybe someone will build a library and put your name on it. But here's my whole point. So whatever he said, he doesn't know, he doesn't believe, he doesn't care about. But also, so the platitude, circle, word salad talk, him, Oprah, Michelle Obama. I had this thought in my kitchen this morning. It's these guys don't want to be thought of as politicians or personalities. They're cult leaders, essentially. And cult leaders speak in super broad ways. They don't get up there and go, all right, here's the assignment. Here's who has to clean the bathroom. Tammy, you clean the bathroom Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Shelly, you have it the other days. Now let's get to kitchen detail. Who's prepping breakfast? Like, that's all nuts and bolts for little people. He could get up there and talk policy, but that's kind of for little people. He speaks broadly, like the Messiah.
Yeah,
that's how these people speak with
and the
messianic.
The pacing.
It's all.
Well, what I took away is the mastery of never looking straight, because then it's like you're giving a speech. He's only talking to the people in the wings, you guys over here, and not these people.
But if he got out there and he just got out there and he went, before I get into it, I've been told there's a Ford Granada in the parking lot with the lights on and the license plate. It's like, that's not what the Messiah would do.
No.
So he's not going to do nuts and bolts. Oprah's not going to do nuts and bolts. Michelle, because they've transcended nuts and bolts. That's for like fucking idiot politicians to talk about tariffs and corporate income tax and border shit like that. Like that's not, we've transcended. Like we are into the Messiah realm. And that's why all they're speaking is that way. And when it's done, you go, I have no idea what he said, but look at that guy. He knows what he said. But
and it seems like it would be easy, but then just look at how bad Kamala is at it. I mean, they don't want her to really talk to people because she's not great at talking. But what she has going for her is if I were ever interviewing her, I would ask the question that no one ever asks her, which is, what do you mean by that?
Yes.
Like we'll have all these clips that we'll share of her talking about what the unburdened whatever or the passage of time. And the other person's never like, what are you saying?
I know.
What are you talking about? What did you think you just said? What are you talking? No, nobody will follow up and ask those questions. Is it because they're not listening? Or is it because they're just like, I don't want to get into it? I mean, because she's like a media manufactured.
Look, we're in a very troubling time in that she is not going to speak to anyone who's unfriendly.
Right.
And so she will speak to friendly people. And if she speaks to friendly people and Lester Holt starts asking her questions like, what are you talking about? Nobody knows what you just said.
What do you mean by that?
Then Lester Holt will go from the friendly camp to the unfriendly camp. And once you get into that basket of deplorables, there shall be no more interviews with you. So Lester Holt can't get in there and ask real questions because if she wins the presidency, there's not going to be any sit downs with Lester Holt. Now, the only way to do this is sort of prison break style, like suck-ass reporters who are worried about their second date with Kamala, so you don't want to ask any questions on your first date. If you try to make a break in prison for the fence one at a time, we're all just going to get shot in the back every 30 seconds. We all have to make the break. All the reporters just got to go, you know what? We're doing our job. Get the fedora, put the press piece of paper in there, and get back to the fucking job. And if you all do it, then you can't be single-handedly blackballed and singled out like you would be done.
We don't really know anything about her policy, right? I mean, it's not. It's,
well, that's the beauty of it, right?
This amorphous idea that is Kamala.
Immeasurables, right? Like after Obama's 8 years, were we more hopeful?
No,
I don't know. Like I don't know what
it was like. Hope. How do you vote not for hope? Well, like I like hope.
Like that's the thing about
joy.
Trump was like, we're going to build a wall. And now he's like, I need to be reelected to stop the border. I'm like, but you were in there for 4 years. What happened to the wall? Like, where's the wall? You know, he put himself in the sniper's view because it's like, you said you were going to do something, and then you didn't quite do it. So now you got to answer for it. And they like to live in the immeasurables. We're going to be hopeful. Things will change. Change.
They're running as the opposition, which is so interesting to me. It's like you're the vice president now.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, the things aren't going to be like this anymore. It's like, well, who's in there now?
No, that's always my favorite. My favorite part is when Gavin Newsom shows up and there's train robberies and garbage everywhere and Amazon boxes, and he just looks around and he goes, who's in charge around here? What is going on? He wants to know what's going on. Yeah. All right. We got news. I think we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back, and Joe will do some news right after this. Simply Safe. If you're like me, you think about safety, and you think about people. And that's who you value the most, because you can replace the watch or the necklace, but the people. And there's a lot of crime, especially going on here in L.A. I mean, every time you turn on the radio, some other celebrity got their home busted into, and those are just the ones they're reporting on. I've trusted Simply Safe to protect my home for over a decade now, and I've partnered with Simply Safe to offer my listeners 20% off a system. Just visit simplysafe.com/and we all use it here. And when you pick up and move, you pick up your Simply Safe system and you move with it. It's not hardwired. They also have exclusive live guard protection. Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm and can even see and speak to the intruders inside of your home. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News & World Report 5 years running. and best customer service by Newsweek. It is Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
Protect your home this summer with 20% off any new Simply Safe system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Feel Free by Botanic Tonics. I'm holding it right now. Not only holding it in my hand, but it's actually inside of me because I use this product quite frequently. Trying to describe, here's what I will say about this product. I can feel it. And I can't say that about most products. You take the multivitamin, you take whatever it is you take, you kind of go, I don't know, I think I feel smarter or more focused or have more energy. But no, Feel Free. It makes a difference. And I mean, the way you know is they gave me a case of this stuff, and it's been a few weeks, but I'm getting down to my last few bottles. I use it usually after work because I finish work and then I got to focus again. And it works. Probably drinking a lot less coffee than I used to as well. And I do it 2-3 times a week. And when the energy's running low, it helps. It makes a big difference. So Feel Free by Botanic Tonics, and try it and tell me if you don't feel the difference, because I think you will. Dawson.
Make the switch to all-natural energy and get an extra little mood lift with this plant-based tonic. Go to botanictonics.com and use the code ADAM at checkout for $40 off a 12-pack case. Again, that's botanictonics.com, code ADAM. Adam's been loving this tonic, and he's sure you will too.
Do you remember the Dove Soap Normal Bodies campaign? Right? The women in the ads were like, "We're bodies normal in our underwear, buy our soap," right? Okay, cool. How is that supposed to make anyone feel any better, right? Saying your body is normal is not a compliment. The John Mayer song was like, "Your body is normal, normal body, normal." Don't think it would have been as big of a hit, right? My husband told me I looked normal once. I cried so hard my fake eyelashes fell off.
Kat Timpf is on the Adam Carolla Show.
The book, I Used to Like You Until ... is out September 10th, but you can pre-order it now. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever you find finer books. All right, what do we got for the news, Joe?
Babe Ruth's called shot World Series Yankees jersey sells for a record $24.12 million, the highest price ever paid for a piece of sports memorabilia. Heritage Auctions director Chris Ivey said this is essentially the Mona Lisa when it comes to sports memorabilia.
$24 million.
Well, it is, because I'm aware that happened, and I don't really follow. I'm not a big sports gal, and I've heard of it, so I think that Mona Lisa is a fair assessment. That's an insane, I mean, I guess for some people, maybe not a lot of money, but...
Well, the real power move is to buy the jersey and then play softball in it. Yeah. Put your name on the back of it, have it in your beer league.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because I think I woke up to this on Sunday morning, to this Babe Ruth news, and I watched over and over the Shohei Ohtani 40-40 baseball. Okay, so you don't know, but there's a club.
No clue.
There's a club called the 40-40 Club, and that's stealing 40 bases and hitting 40 home runs in a year, right? And the reason it's a pretty exclusive club, he's the sixth guy ever to enter that club, is because Babe Ruth could hit home runs, but he couldn't really steal bases. You know, the guys that are smaller and faster,
I was going to say, they probably can't run as fast.
Steal the bases, but then they don't hit the home runs. So the guys who are hitting the home runs and stealing the bases, so that's an overall athlete. And so there's only 6, and Ohtani is huge here, but he's even bigger in Japan. It's everywhere in Japan. And so I'm watching him hit the 40th, and he hits his 40th in the 9th inning, and it's a game winner. It's a walk-off win, and it's in L.A.
And it's a grand slam.
And it's a grand slam.
Walk-off grand slam.
Walk-off grand slam, and we'll show you the clip here.
First pitch. Fly ball, right center field.
Now, we really need to focus on the poor guy with the mitt.
40-40.
There's a guy who brought a baseball mitt, and he literally just was perched directly under the ball, and the ball hit him in the mitt.
He's got to still think about that, like forever. Probably till the day you die.
It landed in his mitt. First off, he's just standing there. I mean, can of corn, did not have to move right or left or anything. He just had to put his mitt up and catch the ball.
Oh, man. Every time you in your life want to buy something but couldn't afford it, you'd have to hate yourself all over again.
You'd have to remember your Little League coach going, 2 hands! 2 hands!
Yeah. I think that this person probably needs, like, therapy. I mean, like, this is...
it's beyond. It's grief counseling.
Yeah.
It's more than therapy.
It's the death of the life you could have had.
Yes.
Had you caught... And you brought the glove. You brought a glove.
An adult.
And you're an adult and you brought a glove. People were probably making fun of you.
That seat.
And you could have been like, I'll show them. And you like, oh man, I hope this person's okay, but there's no way they are.
Everything went as planned.
That wasn't until it didn't. Yeah, that wasn't a line drive either.
No.
That thing spent a lot of time. That was a moonshot. And he settled right under it. And it bounced off the heel of the glove. It went into the glove. It bounced back onto the field. So then I heard that the right fielder tossed it back up into the stands. Now, I don't know that the right fielder knew it was the 40-40 ball. I don't know, but he tossed it back up into the stands. You'd kind of think if he knew it was a 40-40 ball, he would have thrown it back in so that Ohtani could have it. Right, but he didn't. He threw it back in the stands, and then I thought, he threw it to the guy with the mitt who muffed it.
But he didn't?
He didn't. Somebody else.
Who got it?
A person other than the guy with the mitt who muffed it. The ball got, kicked around. It was
I would have lost teeth diving on that ball.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would have...
Or just blowing the guy who got the ball so you could get the ball from it.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you're having new life.
Well, so that was, Friday night or whatever it was. And then the Sunday I woke up to Babe Ruth's jersey for $24 million, which this guy woke up to too, which didn't help, right? And then you start going, well, all right, it's a 40-40 ball. There's only 6 people on the planet now who do that. And this guy pitches as well. I mean, he's a superstar, but he's also the biggest player in Japan. And Japan has expendable income. And guys are like mega fans.
Yeah.
Like, that ball should be auctioned in Japan, like at Sotheby's. But I'm thinking... So Joe knows guys who do sports memorabilia. I mean, I feel like that thing's $500,000 today, and in 5 years from now, it's going to be $2.7 million. But if Shoei dies in a whatever train accident in Japan,
here's what he's got to be hoping for. He's got to be hoping for 10 more homers and 10 more steals. So he goes 50-50, and then no one cares about the 40-40 ball.
Here's a question. Do you think he ever brings a glove to a game again?
He should never go to a game again.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that he can do that. I don't know that after you fumble that, literally, I don't know if you can pack that glove with you to go to the game again. I don't know that you could emotionally do that.
Because if you drop that without a glove, you try to catch Shohei Ohtani in a bare hand. You bring the blue glove to the front row of Dodger Stadium, and you dropped it.
Yeah, I'll lose an umbrella when it's raining, right? That glove made it there with you. You made sure you had the glove. You got the shot. The ball was in the glove.
Let me tell you my 100% wiring that I just came up with. And I was a good outfielder, so I would have caught it. But 100%, if you want to know my wiring, this would be 100% of my wiring. If that ball was hit to me and I had a glove on, but I also had half a $14 Molson beer that I bought, I would not drop the beer. I would be like, I pretty much can do this one-handed, and I'm not spilling this beer. I wouldn't like set it down because I'd knock it over with my foot, or I wouldn't drop it. If I was holding the beer, the $6 worth of beer that was in that plastic cup, I would not be able to just jettison the beer. I would make the catch. I'd go with the one hand grab. I would not spill the beer.
There was a guy a couple years ago, and maybe the guys can find this
with
clip,
the kid?
with the kid and the beer.
The guy's my hero.
He didn't drop the baby or the beer.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you're like, how that guy would have? He'd have caught that Otani ball in his hat.
I would just need to
the beer and the nachos.
Do you have to change your whole identity? I mean, that's nobody in his life is going to see him the same.
I'll tell you what that guy doesn't want to see. There used to be a California lottery commercial where they would hold the tape for a second, where they would show, like, if you win the lottery, here's what you can do. And they showed this family renting out Dodger Stadium and, like, having a softball game and a picnic. If he sees that commercial, he's going to go hard tailspin. The guy got the balls, the guy who made his first trip to Dodger Stadium. Never been there before.
Didn't care, probably. Didn't even know what it was.
Well, he knows what it is now.
Now.
Now, yeah. So now, does he sell it back to Otani, who's got a $700 million
Well, the
contract?
Dodgers are famous for the last few years offering very, very little money to people who catch these moments.
Yeah.
So if he's smart, he hangs on to it and he goes straight to Otani himself. Leave the Dodgers out of this process.
Yeah, and leave his translator out of it. Because I feel like there's going to be a vig for that guy. He's got some debts. You know, you got to go straight to Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
That guy will pay top dollar for baseball.
That's an interesting approach.
Look, Charlie, I don't know what this ball's worth. Nobody does. $500K today, it's yours. Now, maybe more than what you want to spend, but get a hold of me in 5 years and tell me what it is. So I'm just giving you first right of refusal, Charlie. Whatever you got, $500K.
Because I think Charlie Sheen had the Buckner ball for a while, and then it was gone for a while. Like he's into moving baseballs in and out of the Sheen collection. So yeah, get Charlie on the phone.
Get him on the blower. All right, what else do we got?
Inside the mysterious Orgy Dome at Burning Man, House rules to open for more area. Burning Man is known as a very hippie-esque paradise where peace and love roam the desert along with festival goers in Black Rock City. However, this year the festival is scheduled to go off without a hitch. Last year there was severe weather. This year it's going off without a hitch. Organizers of the Orgy Dome claim that there were 5,000 festival goers that stopped by the tent last year when they had the bad weather. The outlet interviewed two couples who had previously visited the dome and gave their firsthand experience of what it was like. So there's a whole entry process to get into the Orgy Dome. It's like the DMV, they said. You get a number, then you talk to one guy and take the test on the rules, then you wait some more. So many people want to get in and have sex with a large group of people that there's now a selection process. So not only do you have to get to Burning Man and get into Burning Man and get a Burning Man ticket, but now you've got to get through the process just to get into the Orgy Dome. Feels like if you're going to Burning Man, you should be able to.
I thought it was. Yeah, I didn't know that there would be a screening process. I've never been to Burning Man. I thought that's what that was.
Coachella, you know, it's like you think you're going to go.
And how do they decide who does the screening? That's what I want to know. Who's the person that decides whether you're orgy worthy or not?
It's the long time orgy. I mean, the Orgy Dome is not an official name, but the long time burners, as they're called, who go in there and set up.
I know a guy who is involved with that. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
They have a area like a welcome mat, and they stand on it, and you've got to fill out this. They give you a clipboard. But they don't really care about what's on the clipboard, the questionnaire. You're actually standing on a scale. And we're doing the BMI.
Calculating it?
Yeah, we got the 7-Eleven height thing by the door. You know what I mean? That's in the background. And all that guy's doing is going to make sure you initial all that. Meanwhile, he's just looking down. And he's going, oh, this heifer's too much. Yeah. And then you give that person, and he goes, yeah, I'm going to have a seat over there.
Sorry.
Right. Yeah. And sit down slowly. We don't want you busting up the furniture. So, yeah, it's really just based on weight.
And there's a couple interesting tidbits.
And you got to have a ratio, right? Like you always
Yeah,
have to bring a
yeah.
woman. You can't have you and your
Just a
5
bunch of
buddies
dudes
show up at the orgy zone, right?
Step 1 is being determined whether or not you are sober enough to consent and understand all the rules.
All right.
Which seems like you've probably done enough drugs in your life.
Yeah,
if you're
like
even
that's
at
probably
Burning
a
Man.
scale. Yeah, you're at Burning Man, not because you hate
These are
drugs.
heavyweights. These are heavyweights.
Another big draw for the Orgy Dome is that it's one of the few places at Burning Man that has air conditioning, which is
got
rare.
to.
And it's
You got
So
to.
can anyone really consent? Because are you just sure people aren't going in there like, fuck me, that's fine. I just want an AC.
Yeah.
Like, how desperate might you be
How
in
hot?
a desert?
How hot are you? Well, I'll let 5 guys fuck my wife while I watch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how hot I am.
Exactly.
Do lines form? You know, like
For
you know,
one person?
You know, like when you're walking through the mall and there's the food court. And,
Yes,
and
you
see
can see
like,
what's the most
There's
popular.
like Jersey Mike's and there's like 18 people lined up. And then you see the Mon Pa Chinese wok place like 2 doors down and nobody's there. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like I kind of feel bad that nobody wants your wok food, you know, and they're all lined up. Is there a hottie?
Probably.
With like guys taking bakery tickets and standing in line, and then there's some poor homely chick who's just sitting there like the Maytag repairman, just bored. It's a reference.
Some descriptors of the Orgy Dome. The lighting is low and nice. There are nice drapes and comfy couches and pillows, and they provide lube and condoms. Once they call your group name, you remove your jackets and shoes, and they're stored for you in a cubby outside of the Orgy Dome. The ground is made of those black rubberized puzzle piece floor tiles.
Yeah, you gotta have that.
There are several mattresses, each with fresh sheets.
Yeah.
An attendant escorts you to your mattress. Entrants are also encouraged to use baby wipes and hand sanitizer.
Encouraged.
Yeah.
But not required.
Not required. This is It's not a Starbucks during COVID.
Okay, so
it's an Orgy Dome.
I'm confused by the fresh sheets. Like, how fresh can they be? You know?
They did come in the back of a Berners Toyota Tacoma through the desert. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not buying that. They're very, yeah.
Well, how do you figure out who you get to have sex with?
Yeah, I don't know.
Vibes, bro.
Yeah, I feel like do you have to ask? Do you have to ask like, hello, can I have sex with your wife? I don't know. I mean, that's probably all on the thing.
I think it's like this. The Orgy Dome is like the Thunderdome. Once you're inside, anything goes. You know.
Tina Turner's singing in a yeah.
It's a great segue to
and
the
I'm
next
sure
story.
I'm
Oh,
sure that
good.
everybody's very happy. I think it's great. If that makes you happy, go for it.
I'm going to ask you this hypothetical, both of you.
Okay.
They got the hot chick posing in front of the Orgy Dome thing, but is she in the Orgy Dome? Or she just
No.
Yeah, when you go to Vegas, they have all the hot chicks for the strip club, but that chick isn't in the strip club, right?
She's the shot girl of the Orgy Dome right there.
Yeah.
She's
So-
selling you hand sanitizer at $11 a bottle.
Yeah. So would you rather have this
Okay.
for your unborn daughter?
Well, we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but let's just say it
I'm
is.
making her a daughter.
Okay. All right.
All right. And same with you, Joe.
Okay.
Would you rather have this person as the model on the billboard for Spearmint Rhino off the 5, where they get like 200 million eyeballs a day, or not on the billboard, but actually working at the Spearmint Rhino in the City of Industry? Now, on one hand, she's working as a stripper, but on the other hand, everybody you went to high school with sees your daughter up on the Spearmint Rhino billboard.
There's a lot to weigh there, though,
That's
because
what
then
I'm saying.
also, what about the money Like why she,
exactly
you know,
what
like,
I was going to say. Yeah. What was the day rate? What was her SAG after day rate to be on the billboard versus what is she
Because you
taking
could also
home?
explain that away. You could the billboard. You could be like, oh, you think that I would, but
well,
also
those are the people that say something to you. There's going to be vast throngs of humanity who just kind of know that's your daughter who never
and
say
does she
anything.
enjoy working at the strip club?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know her yet.
It's more about you. Like, what would you personally...
I don't know. I mean, it's tough.
That's
it is
why
really
I
tough.
gotta ask.
It's really tough.
That's the beauty. The most
because maybe she'll be like, I want to do both.
Yeah, once she gets a taste for the fame on the
She's like-
billboard, she's like, "Oh, it was just a campaign, and now."
Well, Joe knows from sports. Like when you hear the Raiders are 2.5 point favorite over the Seahawks, you go. Actually, the worst is when someone goes, "Well, I like the Raiders, but not by much," and then you always get the sports line. It's like 2.5 points. You're like, "Oh man." Well, that's what a good hypothetical stops people and makes them think about putting money down on the Seahawks. Like when they toggle back.
Right, because it's
and
also
forth.
how long is the billboard up? How long is she working at the strip club for? How is she pursuing other things? Or
All right,
is she only at the strip
I'll move on to my next hypothetical
Is she using
for
it
you,
to pay
Kat.
for school?
Well, my all-time
They're
favorite.
all paying for school.
Exactly,
What are you
that's a
talking
trick
about?
question.
Here's my all-time favorite. You ready?
Okay. I can't wait to hear what this is.
It's a hypothetical that I'm proudest of.
Okay.
Because people toggle back and forth, and that's how you've known you've drawn it great when they go this way, and then they think about it for a little while, and then they come back the other way. All right, Kat, here's your choice.
Okay.
At the workplace, I mean, you happen to be at Gutfeld, you can either have had sex with the most disgusting person in that building that everyone's aware of. And we all, I don't know, kill me. I'm just making a joke. I like kill me. No, let's just pick out, let's just say Tyrus. Not that he's disgusting, but I'm just saying, let's just say, you're a happily married woman.
Yeah.
Okay. But you'd either have sex with Tyrus or you don't have sex with Tyrus and everyone in the building knows you've had sex with Tyrus.
Oh, so
they know it. They don't even think it. They know, including Tyrus.
But okay, because for me that's easy to say. Just have everybody. I do not want to have sex with Tyrus. Not that he's disgusting, but I just like. That,
But would you like to go to a
could.
Christmas party where everybody thought you had sex with Tyrus?
Or you just take it and no one never talks about it ever.
It doesn't exist once you do it.
I don't know that I physically would as having sex with Tyrus.
Let's
is not
go
an
with
option.
Greg. Let's go with Greg.
No, no.
No, you say no. It's easy to say no, but then picture yourself showing up every day.
Adam's a regular guest.
Is it offensive that I just started screaming?
Dr. Drew shows up and looks at you and goes, "How you doing, Kat?
I can't.
Are you doing okay? Honestly, are you okay?"
I feel like I don't care if people think I had sex with somebody that I didn't have sex with.
Including Gutfeld.
So I feel like I don't care if people think I had sex with someone that I didn't have sex with.
Everybody you work with thinks that.
That's better than I. That's
This
okay.
hypothetical only works with women, right? Like, because guys are just like, "Oh, just fuck her," and then
guys always do this. Guys always go, "Can I drink?" Because you pick the most homely woman that disgusts everybody, and they just go, I can drink though, right? Oh, if I can drink, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, just bang it
Let's
out.
get over with.
That'd be interesting. Well, like, I wonder what my husband would want me to do.
He's not gonna
actually no, but that's
know.
interesting.
No,
I wonder would he say fuck the guy, or would he say have everybody think? Because that's interesting from his perspective, right? Would I rather have
He's
my
showing
wife
up at the Christmas party with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And have
then
him be like, he doesn't even know that she had sex with.
And then at some point, Gutfeld walks over and hugs you. Everyone's watching you. See,
yeah, but the counterpoint is like after you're at home and you guys have a nice romantic evening, he's wondering, did I do it as good as Dr. Drew?
That's right.
He is the love line guy.
I like how now it's become 3 or 4 guys.
Drew's not on the table because you give him a freebie.
I like how it's become like 4 or 5 men.
The hypothetical is every woman has to pick the guy in their office that makes them cringe. And then do you have one night with that man? And by the way, when you're done, he doesn't know it either.
Okay.
You're the only person who knows it versus everybody and him knows it.
So he doesn't know that I had sex with him. So I'm a rapist.
Yeah. You're like Bill Cosby.
You're asking me, would you either rape the host of the show that you work on or have everyone think that you had sex with him?
That's my question.
That's what you're asking
and
me.
it all happens in the Orgy Dome.
Would you rape...
Listen, it's a great hypothetical because you have to sit there and really weigh it out. Like you really... ask questions about alcohol consumption, about what that person knew, about how long it took.
How does he not know? Is he? Do I drug him?
You hit him with the Men in Black.
In my hypothetical world, and that's the beauty of a hypothetical, he doesn't know. You're the only one who knows. Versus the alternative, which is everyone knows. It's not rumor and innuendo. It's like they know.
I just happen to think there's another word for having sex with someone who doesn't know that you had sex with them.
You people, it's called a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical.
I think it's
you're acting like a real CNN correspondent right now, Kat.
I think it's horribly illegal and immoral.
The hypothetical is like, would you rather own the Hope Diamond or 25 Fabergé eggs? It's not a real question. It's a hypothetical question.
But he doesn't know. Yeah,
he doesn't know. So now it's just
that
you.
makes. I'm not like. I still. I think the choice between rape and
it's not rape. That's consensual. It's just when we're done, he doesn't know.
It's consensual sex that he doesn't know.
After you're done, he loses memory of it.
But I live with the memory for the rest of my life.
You do. But think about the memories. Like we go, oh, God, I hate that, or I'm ashamed of that, or whatever. But really in a bubble of nobody ever witnessing what you did, like everyone takes a solid dump every morning. Now, doing that in the public doing it in the public square was a bad memory. Doing it alone in your bathroom at 8 a.m. isn't a bad memory. I mean, it's really all the shame. A lot of it comes from witnesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. A lot of it comes from when although I don't care as much. I have people saying stuff about me all the time, like who
just
don't
think
know.
of that Christmas party.
But yeah, that's what I would ask my husband. I would say, listen, do you want me to fuck this guy or not? What would you rather? I would say, would you listen, babe? Here's what's gonna happen.
I'll be your husband. I'll be Cam.
Yeah,
Pitch
so
it to
take
me.
Cam.
Yeah.
Listen, this is gonna sound crazy, but I either have to have sex with him and no one will know, or I don't have sex with him, babe, and everyone's gonna think that your wife did have sex with him.
Okay, who's fucking babies in you? I want to know. Because I'm starting to ask questions myself. Is this a way of you telling me something?
Right. Listen.
All right, let's get rid of the baby. Not get rid of it, but let's put it aside. Let's carve it out. No? Wait a minute. Let's just say no, baby.
So I'm not pregnant in this situation.
If I'm Cam, I would also need to talk to me.
Yeah.
And because I'd need to have a consultation with me, the maker of the hypothetical, and he'd say, okay, Kat has come to me. Kat has presented your hypothetical.
Yeah, he would call you.
And in your hypothetical, either everyone knows my beautiful, adoring wife slept with Gutfeld, but she didn't, or she must do it, but nobody knows, including Gutfeld, but no one will know but Kat. But does that include me? Because if it includes me, then she can sleep with him because I will not know about it either. But she talked to me about it, so did we preempt the knowledge part? So and I would tell him I'd have to think about it.
So would his mind also be erased, or he would have to know?
That's what I'm saying.
Because I would have to. I would outsource the decision to him.
If his mind would also be erased, then I think he would have to go with it.
Yeah.
Joe knows what I'm talking about. But if he's got to live with it, if it has to be both your secret shame, then maybe not.
I think a nice level of the hypothetical is like if she asks him about it, then he knows about it. But if she doesn't ask him about it, then he's part of the knowing group. And you have to make this decision on your own. I like that even better.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Oh wow, what a wife!
Yeah.
But I like that you guys would sit down, perhaps with a therapist.
Yeah, I would sit down. I was just gonna say my therapist.
Now we can bring Dr. Drew back in.
I was like,
I knew Dr. Drew was getting in
Dr. Drew, you would not believe the predicament that your buddy Adam just put me into here, but I'm gonna need you.
I think you can imagine.
He'd be like, "Oh, is it the thing again?"
All right. We got a Shohei Ohtani message on my board from 25 minutes ago that you can probably get rid of. But we could put other stuff on there. All right. Kat Timpf. We got Keith Urban, who's doing a one-on-one with Waiting in the Wings. And Kat, the book is called I Used to Like You Until, and it'll be available September 10th, but you can pre-order it
right now, and
right?
you should.
You should.
It's a great book. I'm very proud of it. It's better than the last book, actually.
Wow, and the last book was very good. And we can go where? We can go to your website?
TheRealCatTimpf.com.
All right, we'll be right back with Keith Urban right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you'll need for all your maintenance and repairs. That's right. It's not just about maintenance. You got to repair it every once in a while yourself. I've been going to O'Reilly since, knee-high to a boll weevil? I don't know what they say, grasshopper. I've always gone to O'Reilly. I used to live up in the hills in La Crescenta. I'd go the one up on Foothill. Still there. Passed it the other day. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in store or online, so you'll never have to worry if you're in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free in or out of your car, which is nice. You don't have to pull it. If it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right battery for your vehicle. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fixed, quick service, they'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help as well. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the team at O'Reilly knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, friendly. So the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto, do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in the store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Viator. Oh, man. Having a planned trip with Viator is such a great experience because you want to see things. Yeah, you want to travel, but you want the experience. Viator, it's a tool to plan and book travel experiences around the world. Their app and website makes it easy to explore over 300,000 travel experiences. Discover what's out there, no matter where you're traveling and what you're interested in. Plan better experiences with 24/7 customer service, free cancellation, and real traveler reviews so you get insider information, the stuff the people who've done it can tell you. Download the Viator app now and use the code Viator10 for 10% off your first bookings with the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Adam, been a while since I heard you talk about this kind of thing, but I thought of you because I'm in a diner in a wealthy part of Connecticut, 7 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. All the other customers are minimum 65 years old, and they're playing loud, intense, clubby dance music. You're the man.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Keith Urban has joined us. New album, High, and it's not available just yet. It'll be September 20th, but you can pre-order it. So that's how I would do it wherever you purchase finer music. Good to see you, Keith.
You too, Adam. Good to finally get to talk to you.
Well, that's an interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because if someone would have said to me, Keith Urban, I'd go, sure. Does Keith Urban know who you are? I'd go, no. Why would he? And then they'd go, well, you've done stuff. And I'd go, yeah, but he's married to Nicole Kidman. He's living in Nashville. He's playing country music. He doesn't know who I am. So, I'm glad to hear you say it's finally good to talk to you.
Yes, well, because of Comedy Central back in the day, man. You dominated my television. I saw you all the time.
Keith, I've been reading up on you. Keith's a car guy, which is exciting to me. Keith, and I don't know, you can tell me. You wanted to play music from a very early age, and it was kind of in you. So I'm guessing you would just be playing music no matter what level you got to right now and probably be happy with it?
Yeah, I'd be playing in a bar 5 nights a week. That's what I was doing. I quit school at 15 and was playing 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night in a cover band. And if I hadn't have been tenacious and made the trek to America, moved to Nashville in the early 90s and really sort of done it. If I hadn't have put that time in, I would have been in Australia, probably playing in a pub tonight somewhere.
Do you remember some of the songs you covered in your cover band?
Oh, all the standards, Sweet Home Alabama and, whatever was on the charts at the time as well. Just the top 40 stuff. Yeah.
Was country big in Australia? I mean, American country big in Australia?
It was big in my house. My dad loved American country music, so all of the records I grew up listening to were all American country. Johnny Cash was my first concert. I think I was 7. My brother was 9. Mum and Dad took us to see him. And so, my dad just loved American. My dad just loved American everything. He grew up in the 50s, so the rock and roll bug hit him, and he loved cars, the music, the movies, everything.
Yeah, Australia has a real, speaking of cars, they have their V8 cars over there, and they have their racing series. And for those who like racing, it's some of the hairiest racing ever. I mean, it's almost kind of crazy racing. You see what inspired the movie Mad Max. I mean, when you watch the V8 Challenge in Australia, it's sort of like NASCAR, but on a road course, but everyone's just going at it. And there's tons of footage of it on YouTube, and it's kind of crazy. And it made me realize that they're real sort of gearheads in Australia.
Yes, we're all psychos down there. I mean, it's probably more like the origins of NASCAR when you think about all the moonshine runners and the crazy stuff that was going on in the mountains back then, outrunning the revenuers and all the rest of it. That's really the origins of it. So I think Australia has that similar crazy rev head mentality and love for danger, really, just danger.
Was it... Were you not immediately accepted because you're doing country music and you look like a pop star and you're from Australia? That just doesn't feel country to America.
No, of course. No, it was rough as hell when I got here. I get it. I look back and I just go, what the hell was I thinking? But what a great thing, kind of naivety and blind belief and faith and all that stuff is, because that's what carried me through. I wanted to be in Nashville ever since I was a little kid, and I was willing to do whatever it took to stay the course and, stay here.
Who are some of besides Johnny Cash, who are some of your influences from back in the day or beyond?
Well, country-wise, it was, all the standards, Merle Haggard, Charlie Pride, Waylon Jennings, Don Williams was massive in our house. So all American country. But then my brother, who's 2 years older than me, he turned me on to ELO and Supertramp, Fleetwood Mac, Jackson Browne, the Eagles, all this other sort of stuff. And then my mom loved Neil Diamond, the Everly Brothers. So there was a big big melting pot of music in the house that sort of formed me.
And so you move here, what are you, 26, 25, 26 when you moved?
I was 20, around then, 24, 25, somewhere around there.
And you get signed in Australia, right?
Yeah. I was signed in Australia first, and then made an album and toured and had a band and did all that sort of stuff. You know, basically paid my dues in Australia, working my way up to get out of the station wagon and the van and finally have a crew and a truck and everything, and then move to Nashville and just start all over again.
And so what was that like when you landed in Nashville? And then Nashville was very different in 92 than it is in 2024, for sure.
Oh, my God, yeah. It was a little town. You know, it was a town that thought it was a city. But I loved it. My very first trip, I remember walking around 16th, 17th Avenue. Have you been to Nashville? I'm sure you have. So, you know, Music Row, 16th, 17th Avenue, it's like two main streets, bunch of old houses that are offices for record companies and publishing places. And I remember thinking, this is it? This is the global mecca of country music, this tiny little place, you know? And I just thought, gosh, you know, I just want to move in. I want to get going. And I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was, because I'm young and stupid and, you know, have no idea how hard it's going to be. And it took years for anything to get going here for me.
And so you start playing, you start making relationships, you start collaborating. Like, what's the beginning like?
Yeah, it's a songwriting town, so I was sort of put with songwriters to try and write songs for me, and that was the first time I'd experienced this thing of sort of factory songwriting. You know, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., drive down Music Row, meet this person, sit in a windowless room with a yellow legal pad and acoustic guitar and write a song with a complete stranger. You know, and I'd never written that way, and it was really, really difficult because I was out of my element. I just had so much to learn, Adam, you know, and that was rough. It was just rough, but I did it. You know, I'd come over here for a month at a time, and I'd do it 5 days a week, going down and writing and writing and writing and writing. That was really how I got my start here.
Did you feel, and maybe this is cathartic, but I always felt at the beginning of my career, I have to write all the jokes. I have to come. These are my ideas. I can't use other people's ideas. I can't pay somebody for a joke or premise or thought. That's their thought. That's their premise. Like, I wasn't a snob about it. I just thought it wasn't right, like morally right, to let somebody else create something for you. And of course, you figure it out, you understand, and you get over it a little bit at a point. But for me, I hung on to that for a long time. So you had written your own songs and created your own material, and now you're doing a factory system in a sense. How did that sit with you?
Well, I'd co-written a lot of things in Australia, you know, so it wasn't all just my own song, a lot of co-writes, and I'd recorded outside songs as well. And again, I think I go back to someone like Glenn Campbell, who my dad loved, Charlie Pride. Those guys didn't write anything. And when I discovered that, I was like, oh, well, where do they get their songs from? And my dad's like, people write songs for him, Frank Sinatra, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, so you can write, but you don't have to. This is good, you know. And of course, coming from a cover band environment, I'm already playing other people's songs that I didn't write. So it wasn't a real stretch to write with new people. It was just a process. It'd be literally like you walking into some, you know, comedy writer and meeting them for the first time and sitting down and writing an entire show with this person you've never met. And it just really, I was intimidated. Ultimately, I was just intimidated, and I felt very insecure and out of my depth at the beginning. That was the hard part.
Can you feel a song like with you mentioned watching Comedy Central, when we would do bits for the Man Show, if something was a good idea, it was a good idea. I knew it early, like, oh, this is going to be good. It's not written. I don't know what it is exactly yet, but I hear it. I can hear this is good. And you're always right when you have that initial response of like, oh, there's something here, versus I'm not feeling it. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know how that's going to work. Is it that way with the song? I mean, could you tell in the first sort of 30 seconds whether it was going to be something or not? And have you been wrong?
Yeah, all the above. I bet you've got the same answer.
Sure.
A joke that you go, oh, this is going to kill tonight, and you do it.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Crickets. And it may not have been the thing. It may have been the way it was delivered. It may have been, some other factors. But I think it's the same in what we do. But I will say with writing songs, I think if I feel something like quite exhilarating, that there's something magical in it, then that's a great thing. I've labored over songs that I just felt like, I don't know if there's anything in here. It's quite smart, but I don't feel it. And those songs never go anywhere. They never do anything.
And do you feel that if it's too difficult to write, maybe it's not worth writing? Like, I always felt like the good ideas flowed. They when there was a good premise, it was like, oh, I can't write fast enough because how good this premise is. But when it's not a good premise, it's just you struggle, and then you think to yourself, why am I fighting with this song or this premise? Maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, to a T. I mean, and then I got to ask myself, am I just lazy? Am I just waiting for inspiration to do the work for me? Am I inherently lazy? There's a bit of that for sure, but I think there's a lot of truth in what you say about the flow. It's all the flow, right? It's all the flow. Do I feel a flow? If there's a flow, then there's something happening. If I have to push and craft the entire thing and there's no inspiration, no flow, that's never worked for me. No matter how much time and elbow grease I put into it, it's never added up to much of anything.
What do you always seem to be fit. You always seem to be upbeat. Maybe that's just on Entertainment Tonight. But I know you've been sober for a while. You seem positive and sort of healthy and strong. And I'm always curious what everyone's regimen is. Do you do things? Do you do the cold dunk? Do you have a certain diet?
I did this morning.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, I did that cold plunge this morning. Only 3 minutes, though.
That's
55
fine.
degrees.
That's all right.
3 minutes, 50.
You got it. You have the tub?
Yeah, I got the one called the plunge.
Yeah.
So it stays cold all the time.
Yeah, the thing about the cold plunge, I think, which is kind of fascinating, which is I do it as well. My tub is on the fritz and I was moving and it's a long story, so I'm a little out of sorts with it. But I do it as well. But I do realize that the cold plunge is really for health and wellness and mental health and physical health and immune system and everything else. But at some point, it'll turn into a competition. Like a guy will go, oh, you did 55 degrees at 3 minutes. That's cute because I do 5 minutes at 44 degrees. And so then you start getting into this sort of wrestling match over who spends more time in a colder body of water. And then it kind of defeats the purpose of the cold plunge, which is sort of wellness and getting in tune with your body. I'm telling you, 55 is on the warmer side of the cold tub, but it's still fucking freezing when you get into that water. And 3 minutes is plenty of time to turn your body beet red.
Yeah. I never get caught up in that bullshit, Adam. I never have. I'm not interested in I'm actually not interested in what works for anybody else. I'm trying to figure out what works for me. That's all I'm looking for. And someone else may do 40 degrees for 20 minutes. I could care less. I'm just trying to figure out what works for me. Everything I do is based on what I need to do to live the life I want to live. Nothing more, nothing less, I don't go lift insane heavy weights so I can bulk up, because I don't need to do that for my life. But I do want to be flexible, and I do want to have decent cardio. I want to be as grounded as I can be, and sleep good, try and get good sleep and minimize my stress. I got a good therapist. That helps massively. And I just do the things I need to do to live the life I want to live. That's it.
Well, good. And I think you're correct, because the other part's sort of a fool's errand. There's always going to be somebody's doing longer and colder. But also philosophically, and you tell me what you think of this, with the cold, we'll use the cold plunge tub as a sort of instrument to convey a philosophy, which is people go, all right, 55 for 3 minutes. That's good. That's a good start. But let's see if we can work it up. Maybe we'll get to 50 in 4 minutes, and then we'll get to 45 in 5 minutes. And the next thing you know, you're trying to do 8 minutes in 37-degree water, right? But what happens is eventually you wake up on a Monday morning and you go, I can't. It's too much. I'm not into it.
Right.
It's too painful. The bar's too high. So you skip a day. And then you skip another day. And eventually you're not doing it because you made it so difficult that you just couldn't do it. So really,
that's right.
Whether it's exercise or cold plunge or therapy or health food or any of the stuff you're trying to do, you have to stop at a certain point, because you will essentially dissuade yourself from doing it. And you can go 3 minutes at 55, I can handle that every day for the rest of my life. We get to 5 minutes and 45, I might not be up for that every day. And thus, then you're doing 0 versus something. So figure out where that space is, where that limit is, and then live there consistently.
My dad would say you'd have to do better than that to get an argument out of me.
Is your dad...
I'm right there with you. I think, and to your point, 3 minutes, I can do 3 minutes every day. That's not going to wreck my day. That's something I can do without too much disruption, and something I'll maintain. It's like a diet. It's like, if the diet's too extreme, I'm not going to stick with it. It's too hard. I'm not going to, but I'll find something that's relatively sensible, seems to work for me, and something I feel like I can maintain that. And again, that's only me and my body and my schedule. It's not you, your body, your schedule. You got a whole different life to me. So this one size fits all bullshit is where everything goes pear-shaped for me, because we've all got different lives, different things going on. So we got to find what works for us.
Now, I was thinking about your wife, Nicole Kidman, and I was thinking about one of her, underseen movies, maybe Dead Calm, which is a great movie, and it kind of introduced me to her. She'd worked a lot before that, but I didn't know her out here. But I will give Dead Calm as a recommendation to anyone who's listening who may have missed it. And I didn't know it was an Australian movie, which I found out today. But here's interesting. So your wife is very dynamic, seems motivated and healthy and strong, And then sometimes I think back on like Ben Affleck and J-Lo, right? And I picture her doing Pilates at 6 a.m. every day, and him smoking and eating a donut out on the patio at 9 a.m., right?
You got to get out more, Adam.
I do, but this is what I think. And I go, well, how could this work? Because she's this kind of person and he's that kind of person,
Right.
So Nicole seems exquisitely nice, but also sort of motivated. Like if she saw you hanging around eating a donut and smoking and sleeping in till noon, she might say something. Is that correct?
What's your point?
My point is I think you guys are at an even amount of motivation, hustle, and sort of self-care. We
find a middle ground. Yeah. I think we balance each other out quite well. I would do way less than she does. She would do way more than I do, and somewhere in the middle is a good sweet spot for us. So but it's sort of like if I was a guy that sat on the couch and did nothing all day and ate Cheetos, I would be a certain person to do that. Well, that wouldn't have been very attractive to my wife, period. It just wouldn't have been her kind of guy. So,
right.
I'm already wired to be kind of like this anyway. My mum is she's 82 and she's fit as hell and rides bicycles and she's in great shape. So I feel very fortunate that I've got that genetic leg up, because a lot of people don't get that. So I'm very lucky, and I just work on not taking that for granted.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up one of my favorite singer-songwriters, John Hiatt, who I know moved to Nashville. I was early money on John Hiatt. I used to listen to him in the late 70s when he was doing new wave music. He wasn't John.
Really? I don't know anything about that period of him.
John Hiatt got out of the gates like Elvis Costello. He was doing that kind of music. Yeah, it's strange. I don't think people know that about him. He dressed it, he looked it, he sounded it, and he was doing that kind of music. I would compare him to Elvis Costello in like 1978, 1979. Yeah. And then as he got into the 80s, turned into folky country, sort of albums like Riding with the King and Bring the Family and stuff like that. And then moved to Nashville and just went full, songwriter over there. But his origins were sort of Joe Jackson, early stuff. Would have been like new wave, we would have called it.
That makes sense. So I used to cover one of his songs called Child of the Wild Blue Yonder.
Yep.
And I loved that song. But that's not too much of a stretch from that Elvis Costello type thing. So I'm going to have to do some digging around for that earlier stuff.
Well, the first John Hiatt song I heard on K-Rock Radio in Los Angeles, who only played Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins. But they're back in the day, they were playing Blondie and the Sex Pistols and stuff like that. And they were playing John Hiatt from like 1980, 1979. And like Child of the Wild Blue Yonder is a great song, but that came 6 albums after that early stuff. But it's funny, even though he's playing a style of music that you're not really familiar with, you still hear him in it. Like, it's still smart. The lyrics are smart. The phraseology is smart. There's some self-deprecation in it, which I always like. I don't like grandiose lyrics.
I hear you.
I like it when they make fun of themselves.
Yeah, I heard Billy Joel say one time, somebody was asking him about his lyrics, and he said, well, when it comes to songs that I want to hear in the car, he goes, I'm less of a blowing in the wind guy and more of a hubcap Diamond Star Halo guy.
Right.
And I love that, and I'm with him. I mean, just a bit of whimsical and a bit of fun, wop up a loop up a lop bam boom. Just a little bit of tongue in cheek is good too.
When it comes to writing songs, and I'll tell my producer Joe, John Hiatt's first K-Rock song was called Secret Life. Just so we can hear what we're talking about.
I'll remember that.
You can hear that I'll play 30 seconds of it. But when you write songs, and I feel this way for writing jokes, I feel like I'm always on the clock. There's no place you can be. I don't mean that as a burden. I just mean there's no place you can be where you can't scrawl something down or have something pop in your head. Or for me, driving along, seeing something.
Oh,
it's
man,
a
it's
great
like almost
song.
a Tom Petty. It's a Tom Petty chorus. It's so good.
I was in high school.
That's great.
And I was like, this is a great song. Who is this guy?
That's a great song.
And then I just...
With another dog?
And another wife, another dog and another wife. Oh, the lyrics. Smart and
Fantastic.
funny.
Address unknown. So good. Wow. Okay, I'm going to do a deep dive into early Hyatt. Thank you, Adam.
Oh, early Hyatt has 7 albums before you got into the Nashville.
Awesome. World.
Cool. Well, I'll send you off the air, but I'll send you a top 10 Hyatt songs to take a dive into, because the lyrics.
Excellent. Thank you.
The lyrics, that's the key. So do you feel like I feel, which is like you're always on the clock, and not in a burdensome way, but just in a like, oh, I got to write something down because I thought of something. I thought of a lyric. I thought of an idea.
I wouldn't say I feel like I'm always on the clock. I feel like if I'm fortunate, I'm connected to the satellite dish of incoming. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a great thing. I don't ever want to be disconnected from that. I feel very, very lucky that anything comes in, and I'm just trying to get better at capturing it in some form and not uttering those stupid words. Oh, I'll remember that.
Right.
I won't remember it. Do you write, if you're driving, you can't write down something. So do you grab your phone and like voice memo it or something? What do you do?
I literally have what I will show you, which is called a buck slip. It's like a hard piece of cardboard, and it's stiff, and so you can write on it versus like writing on a sheet of paper. It's like writing on tissue paper. And if I go for walks, I go out of town, I go whatever, I'll always have this buck slip, and you're just sort of sitting around. Like, I was flying on a flight the other day. I was coming from Vegas back to L.A., and I was just sitting there in my seat, half in the bag, because I did a show late on Thursday night. This was early Friday morning. And I was just sitting there not paying attention, and the stewardess started talking, and she's going over the rules, and she said, no consumption of your own personal alcohol on this flight. And I was just sitting there going, I've heard this 1,500 times. No drinking your own booze on the flight. Right. And then it popped into my head that, I could solve this by trading flasks with the person sitting next to me.
Correct.
I would be drinking their booze, and they would be drinking my booze. And I was like,
exactly.
Oh, that's a joke. And then I started looking around for a piece of paper to scrawl it down. Now, I'd heard the announcement 1,000 times and never thought anything about it. But one time, she just kept saying your own alcohol. And I thought, well, what about drinking someone else's alcohol on this flight?
Yeah.
And it's sort
of Bob's.
Yeah, Bob's alcohol. I hope his flask has wild turkey in it, because that's what's in my flask. So that was the concept. And, who knows where you're going to be in comedy when something pops in, because it's not always you. It's the outside. It's the stewardess giving the announcement in that case. But
if you hadn't written that down, would you have remembered it?
No, I'm bad at it. And Jay Leno shamed me once, because I always would say, Jay, don't you write stuff down? And he goes, no, if it's a good idea, I won't forget it. And I was like, I feel like I forget 100 good ideas a day if I don't scroll them down.
I don't agree. I've heard that philosophy before too with songs. If it's a good hook, you remember it. I'm like, I got a lot of shit in my head, and that might be a really good one. And I'm glad I've recorded things just on my phone, because I've long forgotten it. I rediscover it and I go, that's a really good hook,
Do you do, so there's two forms, like people that are authors, some of them say, look, you just get up, treat it like a job, and you write every day at 9 a.m. or whenever it is. I just get up, treat it like a job, I just write. That's my job. And then others wait around for inspiration. But do you have a schedule for like rehearsal, writing, playing, that kind of stuff?
I don't. I guess first, I probably would if writing was my sole profession. If I was a writer, I think I would probably get up and write every day, regardless. But it's one of the many, many things that I get to do. And I've definitely found that what I do is as inspiration comes, and that's a real thing. I always think of inspiration like a little firefly. So it appears and I go, great, and I capture it and put it in a little jar, and I have all these jars full of fireflies, then I will schedule a writing session for a certain day or a series of days, and I'll take all my jars with me. And if nothing shows up on the day that we're writing, I can pull a jar out, open it up, and go, what about this guy?
Right.
Does he spark something? And then, because it's real inspiration, I have it at the ready on a day when it might not show up naturally. That seems to work pretty good for me.
When you go do a residency, I know you got one coming up at Fontainebleau in Vegas, and that's going to be October 4th, 5th, 9th, and then 11th through and 12th. When you show up, if I got that right, and then in February again, but when you show up and do a residency or shortish residency, what's the process? Like, do you get there a number of days in advance? Do you get the band? Do you rehearse for X amount of days? How does that work?
Yeah, this is the shortest one we've ever done. It's like five dates in October, and then we don't play again until February. So it's a strange, minimal schedule that still requires a X amount of rehearsal time. We're going to rehearse like we're doing 40 shows, and we're just doing 10. But we've got about a week beforehand where we start putting it all together and build it pretty quickly. Yeah.
And does it vary from night to night?
I love spontaneity. I have to have spontaneity in what I do. So I've got an X amount of structure. I mean, we'll have the intro and certain amount of structure, but I quarterback call a lot of moments throughout the show, extend pieces, shorten pieces, maybe scrap a song completely. And then I'll tinker with the show the day after. I mentally clock things that worked and didn't work that I can maybe the next night move some things around, edit it, change it up a little bit for a bit better effect. But a lot of it's spontaneous.
Do you get bored? I shouldn't say the word bored, but and again, this is cathartic, but sometimes when I'm doing stand-up, I'm like, I know the audience would like to hear this thing, but I'm kind of bored with, I've said it too many times. I can't go that way with songs, but do you ever have that feeling of like, I know they want this, I know this thing works well, but I've just done it so many times, I'm not feeling it.
I don't have that, thank God. I feel really lucky that any song that I have to do from sort of you got to do this song and you got to do that song because they want to hear that song. There isn't one song that I don't want to do. Some of that's luck, and some of it is I've passed on songs that my producer at the time was like, I think this is a big hit song, and I would listen to it and go, I don't really want to do that song in a bunch of years. I think I'm going to get really sick of that. And I've passed on songs that I thought I would get sick of. You never know, right? You don't know if you're going to get sick of a joke or a song or anything when you do it. You have no idea. But there's definitely been songs I've passed on that I've thought, if that is a big hit and I'm stuck doing it for the next 10 years, do I want to do that song? I don't, and I've passed on it. But I'll also say Billy Connolly was a great comedian. I was an opening act for him on a tour in Australia in the 80s. And I learned so much from him.
Really? Billy Connolly's an English stand-up or?
Yeah, Scottish.
Scottish, that's right.
Yeah. I learned so much about life and about performing, reading a crowd, navigating all kinds of things in a live situation. And he obviously, and you know this with comedy, you've got a certain thing that you're going to do, your stories you're going to tell each night, whether they be jokes or stories, and you're figuring it out. And of course, he's doing the same thing. So how does he keep it fresh night after night? And he would tell the exact same stories, but they would get either shortened or lengthened from night to night. They would get more embellished, or they'd go whatever he was feeling. If he was feeling that thing, he could quarterback it as he's going. And I think I do the exact same thing with my show. If I can feel like I'm getting into a bit of a rut sometimes playing something, but I'm aware of it. And I'll say to myself, why? Why are you in a rut? Change it. Do something about it. Like, just do anything. Go quieter. Go bigger. Go louder. Tell the band to just drop out for a second and just do anything. But don't stand there being aware that you're going through the motions and not do anything about it. That's the only thing that's changed for me over the years.
Were you going out and opening for Billy Connolly? Were you doing like a 20-minute? Were you with a band? Were you doing acoustic thing?
No, just solo. Yeah,
just
acoustic
solo.
guitar. Yeah.
And were you doing covers at that point?
Yeah, all covers. I just got to get the crowd going. I got to get them singing and cheering and get them going for when he comes out. Mm-hmm.
Do you, let's see how to phrase this. I know you're a really good guitar player and take a lot of pride in that. On the other hand, you look kind of like a matinee idol and you're country star. Do you feel underappreciated sometimes as a pure musician?
No. I love playing, and I think I can only do so much on the records that I do, and the rest of it is playing live. And I think that's where I get to really stretch out and play. Yeah.
Who do you like as a guitar player? Who have you liked?
Oh my God, so many influences. I mean, early on, Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits was a massive influence. Lindsey Buckingham. A lot of the typicals. I mean, from Clapton to Gilmour, David Gilmour, to Stevie Ray Vaughan. There's so many. There's just so many guitar players I love.
Yeah, when Mark Knopfler, I mean, when you first heard Sultans of Swing, you were like, what is this? Because there was no pop song that had that kind of guitar in it back in the day. Like, I could remember hearing that being young going, this is different than what I'm used to hearing. And I think he's a car guy. Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
You still got your Bugatti Veyron?
I know. I had that for a few years, and then I traded that in for a Pagani Huayra.
Oh, the Pagani Huayra.
Which was amazing. And I had that for about 3 years, and then I sold it, and I haven't replaced it with anything yet.
What are you thinking about? Because I just got back from Monterey Car Week over there, and I saw all those crazy supercars, which are really kind of turning into jewelry at this point.
That's a great way to phrase it. I agree.
I don't mean that as a pejorative. There's just no part on the. People should know that supercars back in the day, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and I've owned a fair number of Lamborghini Miuras and lots of old Lamborghinis and old Ferraris and stuff like that. So back in the day, you would see a Ferrari and you'd go, well, that's an amazing Ferrari, but the switches on the dash were from a Fiat and the door handles could have been from a Fiat. And there was lots of parts bin pieces on the car. Even, if you take a look at a Ford GT40 from 1966, you're going to see a lot of Falcon and Ford parts, just sedan, secretary cars parts. People go, that's the marker light from a Ford Falcon, and that's the switches from a Ford Pinto or something on supercars because they weren't going to make a brand new switch for every single thing on that car, a new mirror, a new marker, a new everything. So you could see that the old cars, while the shape of the sheet metal was great and the V12 engine was great, still had mirrors on it like from a Fiat or something. The new cars now, the new supercars, every single piece and part is bespoke and it looks amazing. I mean, it's just breathtaking, the time and energy they put into those things, and the performance is insane. But I would almost be scared to sit in it at this point. It's so amazing.
Yeah. Horatio Pagani is one of the last sort of all-encompassing guys, along with Koenigsegg, some of these guys that aren't sort of currently beholden to the parent company. So I'm interested in those guys. But I'm interested in Matej Rimac as well, because he's a fascinating, young, highly creative, innovative guy.
Rimac is the electric supercar for those who are listening. Yeah, well, I just went, you should go down to Car Week in Monterey once in your life and go down to the Quail and see every single one of those cars you just spoke about. And there's not one Pagani there. There's 6 Paganis there. And there's 3 Rimacs there. And it's kind of incredible. And people go, well, I'm not a car guy. But you don't have to be a car guy. This is what human beings can do. Is really how you have to kind of look at it. You know, when human beings, you know, I feel that way when I see a symphony or a musical. I go, this is what humans can do at their best. You know, when they work together, when they collaborate, when they have freedom, when they're not searching for food or in a war-torn environment. Like when you turn on the news and you see what's going on in Gaza and you go, oh my God, what have we become? Go look at one of these cars and go, this is also what we can do, whether you like cars or not.
No, it's true. It is remarkable, you know, what we can do. And I love all kinds of cars. I grew up with my dad loving American cars. So, you know, here we are in a tiny little town in Australia, and my dad's got Chev Bel Air. We had a couple of Pontiacs, like a 58 and a 59. Some Lincoln Mark 5s, I think, or Mark 4s. Always had American cars. So we were always the oddball family with my dad with these American cars. But he always loved the styling and just the grandeur and the just elegance of these beautiful, beautiful cars. You know, they were so much more than just a transportation device. They were way more encompassing of the personality and the ingenuity and all of it, styling particularly. I just recently bought a 61 Maserati 3500 GT, fully restored, and it is absolutely stunning. And I love this car.
Is it a coupe or a convertible?
It's a coupe. It's a coupe, 2-door coupe, hardtop. I prefer hardtops.
I love that car. I agree. They look better. That car's got a twin plug straight 6 with Lucas injection.
There you go. Yeah. It's an inline 6 and absolutely 5-speed stick shift. Proper car. Oh, nothing fancy on it.
Underrated in the sense that it's beautiful. It's 60s. It's Italian. And hasn't totally caught on in the marketplace. Like you can get some deals on those cars. They're not way out of bounds in the price category. And the styling's beautiful. Maserati had some cool stuff back in the day, and I've always liked those cars a whole bunch. I think Leno got one recently, if you've been to his shop. I called him when I was getting mine because I said, what do I need to know about this car? What quirks are there in this car? And he was great because he said, is it air conditioned? I said, no. He said, you got to get that. And he hooked me in with the people that can do it properly. Few little bits and pieces, little things. He was very helpful, but he also loves that car. Yeah, it's a good one. He's a custodian of car knowledge that nobody really understands.
It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
I talked to him, I don't know, the other week, and he took his turbine Chrysler car. Your dad probably would have gone nuts for a turbine Chrysler car. Sounds like a jet fires up. And he was explaining to me that the 100 guys, all in their 90s, that originally built the engine for Chrysler in like 1963, all the guys that were still alive in their 90s rebuilt him a new engine, and then they put the new turbine engine in the Chrysler, and he took it to Woodward Dream Cruise and drove it up and down there. And he just couldn't have been more excited. He couldn't have been more excited about it. But as a guy who knows cars, I'm telling you, Leno knows cars. Like, there is no bullshit with that guy. He likes the cars, but I think he kind of likes being the custodian of all things with wheels on it.
Yep, and thank goodness. You know, if you're lucky to know him like we are, it's an amazing source of knowledge. I mean, who else am I going to call to go, what should I know about this car? What should I look for? How do I know it's legit? You know, what issues am I going to expect? What's problematic with this and what's typical with this? It's a 61. Is it going to leak a little bit of oil? Is that just typical? Tell me, it's great.
Yeah, he got one of his Maserati 3500s like 3 or 4 years ago and went all the way through it. Did everything on it. So I think it was a barn find. He paid nothing for it. So, Oh my God. What he pays for those cars or doesn't pay for those cars. I mean, when you enter the shop, where the museum, I shouldn't say the shop, the museum, the very first car you will see is a 69 Lamborghini Miura S or P, I can't remember, orange. That's the very first car. Right. And then he will explain that was Dean Martin's son's car, and that Dean Martin's son drove it to high school and went over a speed bump and cracked the oil pan, and all the oil leaked out, and the engine seized. And at the time, it was more money to rebuild the engine than the car was worth. So that car was given to Jay Leno for free with a seized engine. The auctions in Monterey just finished up about a week ago, and there were a couple of Miura S's and Miura P's and Miuras that sold. I think one sold for $2 million, the other sold for like $2.1 million, and they weren't as nice as the one he got for free. But
that's typical. That's a Jay story.
Yeah.
Multiplied by how many you want to go to. It's amazing. He's got the touch.
He probably had to pay $9,000 to get the engine rebuilt. So, you got to back that out of the $2.1 million, right?
Yeah. Poor thing.
So is your dad still alive?
No, he passed away about 6 years ago from cancer. But he was also such a car enthusiast that when we would watch movies, he would love telling us that they overdubbed that door shutting. That's not how a 63 Buick Skyline. That's not the sound of that door shutting. I know that sound, and that's not it. That's something else. He'd get very angry when it wasn't the right engine or the right car door sound shutting of the car that you would see. He'd get very angry at that.
The hardcore guys know what starters sound like, and they go, that's a Ford starter on a Bel Air. Give me a break. And now they can't.
Right.
Now the rest of the movie's been ruined for them. I always ask, but your dad was around long enough to see you have a lot of success, which to me is always, whether it's playing in the Super Bowl or winning a Grammy, I just like to know that they got to see that and experience that, which is great. Yeah. I mean, I had a complicated relationship with my dad most of my life. He was alcoholic, and I navigated that myself through my life. So it's been he's been gone a long time, but I'm still working on my relationship with him, if that makes any sense. Sure. Yeah. Especially when you have kids of your own, and then you start reliving your own childhood and your relationship with your parents, and you think about how you think about your children, and you start reliving and thinking about some of these interactions, these snapshots from your youth, and like one of the things that I marvel at, but you tell me if this rings true for you. I have twins. They're 18, boy, girl. If they ever say to me, hey, I want to do something, or I want to get something, or I want to attend something, I like pop up and start thinking about ways to make that happen, sort of frantically, you know. And it's not even because I'm a good person. I just go, they want to do something, and I always think to myself, okay, how can we make this happen? How can we do this?
Right.
And I remember all the times I would say to my parents, hey, could I have a mini bike, or could I get a go-kart, or could I go to Magic Mountain or something? And they would just look at me and go, no. And they just go back to what they were doing. And I thought, at the time, it made sense. But now I have kids, and it doesn't make sense that there was never this attention or issue. Do you have those sorts of thoughts?
I try and find that middle ground because, yes, I have that thought. And then I think, is that the right thing? It seems like the most loving thing to do right now, but it may not be. So I try and find that middle ground of helping them where I can, but also making sure they get some chutzpah.
Right.
Is so important. Some tenacity, some almost like negotiating tenacity. Like, I know you want that, but you can't have that, and then see if they can work on working me a little bit more. Sort of.
You have to synthesize gravity for them. You have to create gravity.
That's a great way to put it.
Because they're living in a space station, floating around. Yeah. They're living in a bouncy castle. My kids too. They don't have worries. They don't have issues. There's no problems. I mean, not in terms of what they want and what they can get. So you have to artificially almost create it versus what you grew up in, which is it was just there. It was just gravity every day.
Yes. I know that I find myself a lot of the times going, oh, shit, my dad was winging it. He was winging all of this. Because I'm winging it. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I got two girls, 13 and 16. I grew up with a brother, mother, father, but no girls, like no sisters. I'm clueless about girls. And now I'm in a house with nothing but girls. So it's a huge crash course for me. And when it comes to parenting, especially boundaries, guidance, not punishment, but consequences and things like that, I'm like, I don't know. Half the time, I don't know what the right thing to do is. And I think back to my dad, and I'm like, he didn't have a clue either. He was just winging it, doing his best. So to my point, I'm working on my relationship with my dad, continuing to see him differently, and having more gratitude for what he did. No matter how he did it, I'm having more and more gratitude for that he mostly kept it together because it's not easy to do.
Well, it's hard to argue with the results, I mean, your life and how it turned out for you, which even if you're being modest, you're in the top, 1/10 of 1% of people on the planet. I'm not talking about monetarily. I just mean in terms of living your life, doing what you want to do, creating a life that you can flourish in, and that for your family as well.
But that's a work in progress, though, too. I mean, you have it. I mean, it's never achieved; it's just maintained, right? Balance and achieving certain goals and accomplishing certain ambitions. It's like, okay, now what? What now? Okay. New ambitions, new goals, new passions, new interests, new things to keep me moving forward. I feel fortunate that I've got enough clarity and awakeness to keep moving forward with things that interest me and have me curious. But I'm a work in progress. And to that degree, I'm continually finding myself impressed by my dad, and my mom is still alive. And, they both did a great job with the environment that they were thrust into. Because then I think about, well, their parents, how were they raised? Even more complex. So given the wacko families they came out of, they did pretty good. They did pretty good, So.
Yeah, well, I mean, the beginning part of all our families, not going back very far at all, was just survival. I mean, they just wanted to live, eat, and live.
Yep.
They weren't worried
Yes.
about spirituality or thriving or cold dunks. Every day was a cold dunk. They got cold
Life was a
dunked.
freaking cold
Life
plunge.
was a cold plunge. Keith, a fun note to go out on. The album is High.
Oh.
It'll be available September 20th, but you can pre-order it. And I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too, Adam. I knew I would.
Oh, I had a feeling I would, but I wasn't for certain. But now I am. So next time I get in Nashville, maybe I'll come by and kick some of your tires.
Oh, I'd love you to come over to the house. That'd be great.
And I will send you my
John
top
Hiatt.
10 John Hiatt. Well, here's what I'm saying. If you play Secret Life for most people, they kind of go like, well, all right, that's something. But I could hear you hearing it through the ear of a musician and a songwriter.
Oh, yeah.
And you went, oh, that's interesting turn of phrase. Yeah, his secret dog and his secret wife. The idea that he had his dog was secret, too. So be prepared for some John Hiatt gems I will toss your way.
Excellent.
Keith,
That's excellent.
Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure, Adam. Thanks for having me, man.
We'll talk soon. High is the name of the album. I also want to thank Kat Timpf for coming in. And I will be in Boise, Idaho at the Egyptian Theater doing stand-up September 6th at 7 p.m. And then off at Albany, Oregon, and that'll be September 7th. You can go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Keith Urban and Kat Timpf saying, mahalo.